Okay, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning. Okay. Uh, Yesterday, we have seen a brief introduction about chemical control. In yesterday's class, we discussed about mainly about the history of chemical control and a brief introduction about the pesticide industry and the pesticide use scenario in our country. And that is just an introduction part. And today we will move into the business part of this chemical control. We'll see how insecticides are classified. That is what we discussed today. So I'm sharing my presentation. Hope it's visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. First, we will see the definition of a pesticide. The definition of a pesticide actually it's not for an insecticide; it's for a pesticide. The definition is given by FAO in 1989. So, pesticide is any substance or mixture of substances. So, that can be any pesticide, can be a single chemical or a mixture of two or more chemicals, which is meant for or intended for preventing, destroying, or controlling any pest. So it can be a single chemical or a mixture of chemical, and it is meant for preventing, destroying, or controlling any pest. It can be used as a preventive option. It can be used to destroy, that means already present insect, and for controlling or for reducing the pest population. And this pest population includes vectors of human and animal diseases. That's why yesterday I told you whatever mosquito repellent you use in your home is a chemical pesticide. So it includes all those chemicals which are meant for managing vectors of human or animal diseases, mainly mosquitoes, houseflies, etc. Also, it includes for the pesticides are meant for preventing, destroying, or controlling any pest, which includes vectors, unwanted species of plants or animals. Unwanted species of plants, can you name a single word for that? Unwanted species of plants? Yes, weed. So that's why I told this definition is for a pesticide. So this is the chemical can be used for preventing, destroying, or controlling vectors, weeds, or unwanted animals. So say they can you name a unwanted animal in agriculture scenario? Rat, yes. Rodents, yes. So rodenticides come under it. Unwanted species of plants or animals causing harm to our crops during or otherwise interfering with the production, processing, storage of, or marketing of food, agriculture commodities, wood and wood products, or animal feedstuff. I will explain it what it is. Uh, we are trying to control insect pests, and it includes vectors, unwanted species of plants, that is weeds or animals such as rodents, and all these pests, including vectors, weeds or rodents, etc., can cause harm during the production process. That means during the cultivation process, or sometimes interfere with. Interfere with means a weed, it is interfering with the production process. So it can cause harm to the crop, it can interfere with the crop, and it can happen at several stages. It can cause harm during production, it can cause harm during processing, storage, or marketing of food, especially with respect to storage pests and rodents. നമ്മളൊക്കെ വീട്ടില് ഒരു സാധനം സൂക്ഷിച്ചു വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാല് അതിന്റെ അകത്ത് പ്രാണി കയറും, അത് എലി കരളും. So during processing it is a challenge, during storage these pests are a challenge, and marketing, during marketing it is a challenge. And so these insects or any pest can harm or interfere with production of food, processing of food, storage or marketing of food, as well as agriculture commodities. Not only food, agriculture commodities, agriculture commodity, other than food materials, what we can say, uh, silk and all. So these are agriculture commodities, wood and wood products. That's why we use termite treatment for wooden cupboards, wooden doors, windows, etc. All those termite treatment materials are insecticides, because insects can damage wood and wood products. And animal feed stuff. Animal feed stuff means rodents are one of the major problem in chicken farms, broiler farms and other eggeries, because they have plenty of food material, because we provide food to chicken, and this feed is nutritious to the rodents also. So rodents is a major problem in chicken farms. So it can harm animal feed stuff, or these pesticides can be administered to animals for the control of insects, arachnids, or other pests in or on their bodies. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എത്ര പേർക്ക് വീട്ടില് പട്ടീനെ വളർത്തുന്ന അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇപ്പൊ കോഴിയോ പശുവിനെയോ ഒക്കെ വളർത്തുന്നവരുണ്ട് എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, നിങ്ങൾ ഈ പട്ടിയുടെയോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഈ കോഴിയുടെ ഒക്കെ മേത്ത് ചെള്ള്, പേൻ, കോഴിപ്പേൻ എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞ സാധനം കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ? പശുവിന്റെ മേത്ത് ഇരിക്കുന്ന, പറ്റി പിടിച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന പ്രാണികള്, പശുവിന്റെ മേത്തൊക്കെ വന്നിരിക്കുന്ന ഈച്ച കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ? യെസ്, യെസ്. So in dogs and all, this is a major threat. So what if you consult a veterinarian for management of these pests, which are sometimes which are inside the body, sometimes mostly we observe outside the body. They will recommend a drug, and mostly these drugs are a pesticide. Mostly they recommend a pesticide. Mostly they recommend cypermethrin, a pesticide called as cypermethrin. So this pesticide is a term which is extremely broad, and that's why we have a very big definition. So it is a substance, or that means a single substance or mixture of substances, which is intended for preventing, destroying, or controlling any pest. And this includes vectors, unwanted species of plants and animals. And these pests, which includes vectors, unwanted species of plants or animals, can cause harm during the production or interfere with the production, processing, storage, or marketing of food, agriculture commodities, wood and wood products, or animal feed stuff. So it can not only harm agriculture, it can harm agriculture commodities, wood and wood products, or animal feed stuff. Or these pesticides may be administered to animals for the control of veterinary pests. Administered to animals for the control of insects, arachnids, or other pests in or on their body. In or on their body means sometimes certain insects, I don't know whether you have observed or not, if there is an injury in an animal body, നമ്മുടെ ഈ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു ആനിമലിന്, ഇപ്പൊ പട്ടി ആയിക്കോട്ടെ, പശു ആയിക്കോട്ടെ, ആടായിക്കോട്ടെ, എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു ഇഞ്ചുറി വന്നിട്ടുണ്ടോ എന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുക. If there is an injury on the animal body, there are certain flies, we call it as myiasis flies. ഈ ഈച്ച വന്നിട്ട് ഈ ഇഞ്ചുറിയിൽ വന്ന് മുട്ടയിടും. ഈ മുട്ട വിരിഞ്ഞിറങ്ങുന്ന പുഴുക്കള് ഈ ഇഞ്ചുവേർഡ് റീജിയണിൽ ഫുള്ള് ഫീഡ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ആ ഫ്ലഷിനെ ഫീഡ് ചെയ്യും, ലൈവ് ഫ്ലഷിനെ ഫീഡ് ചെയ്യും. So these insects are lying inside the animal body. So we have to treat inside, or we sometimes those which are lying outside, especially ticks, lice, etc. which are lying outside the body, that means on the skin, we can treat from the outside. So these pests, veterinary pests, can be remaining inside the body or outside the body. So this is with respect to the definition of pesticide. So it's a single chemical or a mixture of chemical meant for preventing, destroying, or controlling any pest, and this pest includes vectors, weeds, animals such as rodents, and this can cause harm during the process or interfere with the production, processing, storage, marketing of food, agriculture commodities, wood and wood products, or animals feed stuff. And sometimes these pesticides may be administered to animals for the control of insects, arachnids, or other pests in or on the bodies of these animals. So this is the definition of a pesticide. Hope you understand the meaning of a pesticide. And here we will be, though it is a broad term, in entomology we mainly discuss about insecticides, which are meant for managing insect pests. So coming to the class as such, first we will see how insecticides are classified. Basically, there are four different types of classification of insecticides. Insecticides can be classified based on how they enter into the body of the insect, how they gain access into the body of insects. So that classification is called as classification based on route of entry into the body. How insecticides gain entry into the body. And the second classification is based on general mode of actions, generally how it happens. So whether it is acting on muscles, whether it is acting on respiratory system, whether it is acting on nervous system. So it's a general thing because it's not specific. In nervous system itself, we have different points. There are certain specific points at which each and every chemical act. So it's not a specific mode of action. We generally classify it. We term a certain pesticide as a nervous poison, some pesticide as a respiratory poison, another one as a muscle poison, etc. So that's a general term. In nervous system itself, these nerve poisons may act on specific sites. So that is specific mode of action that we will discuss in the last classification. And the third classification is based on the chemical structure, of the insecticide. And the last classification is called as IRAC classification. That IRAC, if we expand it, it is Insecticide Resistance Action Committee. So this part you have to remember. Sometimes this is asked as an essay or a short note. So the pesticides are classified based on how they gain entry into the body, how they generally act on, it's not the specific mode of action, how they generally act on the insect, what is the based on the chemical structure of the insecticide, and at last the classification given by Insecticide Resistance Action Committee. So one by one we will see. First, based on the route of entry, how the insecticide gain entry into the insect body. We can classify it into, we can further classify insecticides based on route of entry into stomach poisons, contact poison, systemic insecticides, and inhalation poisons or fumigants. The term itself is self-explanatory. Stomach poisons means that the pesticide gain entry into the body of the insect through mouth, through stomach. That means through food material. ഭക്ഷണത്തിലൂടെ വയറിനകത്ത് നിന്ന് കഴിയുമ്പോഴാണ് this pesticide will act. So this is called as stomach poisons. Pesticides gain access into the insect body through stomach, through mouth, and act on the inside the stomach. And the second classification is, second group of insecticide is contact poisons. As the name indicates, the insect has to come into contact with the pesticide so that the pesticide can act on the insect. That means you spray a pesticide on a surface. If the insect crawls over the surface or move over the surface, the insect will come into contact with the sprayed pesticide and the pesticide will act on the insect. So there is no need for ingestion. അകത്തേക്ക് വായി കൂടി ചെല്ലണം എന്നില്ല contact poison. The insect has to merely come into contact with the poison. And the third one is systemic insecticides. Systemic insecticides means that once the insecticide is sprayed into the plant absorbs the chemical, the pesticide, and it is translocated throughout the plant system. If we spray it on the leaf absorbs and it is translocated under the plant system. And if an insect feeds on the leaf, the entire plant is containing pesticide, and once the insect feed on the leaf, it gets exposed to insecticide. I will give a typical example. We usually apply granular pesticides. If someone is having rice cultivation in their home, they know usually farmers mix certain granules of granular pesticide with fertilizers and broadcast in the field. They don't spray it on the leaf. So once the fertilizer is in the field, the roots of the plant absorbs the chemical, and these chemical will be translocated into the leaf. So if an insect comes and feeds on the leaf, the insect will get exposed to the chemical and will get killed. So these are systemic poisons because they are systemically translocated onto the plant system. And the third one is inhalation poisons or fumigants. So these pesticides are in gaseous form. If you inhale it, you will get killed. So that is based on the route of entry. ഈ റൂട്ട് ഓഫ് എൻട്രിനെ നമുക്ക് നമ്മുടെ സാധാരണ മരുന്ന് കഴിക്കുന്നതുമായിട്ട് ഒന്ന് താരതമ്യം ചെയ്യാവുന്നതേ ഉള്ളൂ. സ്റ്റൊമക് പോയിസൺസ് നമ്മൾ സാധാരണ കഴിക്കുന്ന ടാബ്ലറ്റ്സ്, നമ്മള് ടാബ്ലറ്റ് ഗുളികകൾ വായിലിടുന്നു, വയറ്റിൽ ചെല്ലുന്നു, വയറ്റിൽ ചെന്ന് ആക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നു, ഇൻഡസ്റ്റൈനിൽ നിന്ന് ഈ ഡ്രഗ് അബ്സോർബ് ചെയ്തു പോകുന്നു, നമ്മുടെ അസുഖം ഭേദമാകും. ഈ കോണ്ടാക്ട് പെസ്റ്റിസൈഡിന് നമുക്ക് ഓയിൻമെന്റ് ഒക്കെ ആയിട്ട് കമ്പയർ ചെയ്യാം. നമ്മളുടെ വിക്സ്, ടൈഗർ ബാം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങളുടെ എന്താണ് ഈ കൈവേദന, കാലുവേദനയ്ക്കൊക്കെ പുരട്ടുന്ന ഓയിൻമെന്റ്. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് തലവേദന ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ തലയുടെ ആ ഭാഗത്ത് നിങ്ങൾ ഓയിൻമെന്റ് പുരട്ടും, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വിക്സോ ടൈഗർ ബാമോ പുരട്ടും. സോ യു ഗെറ്റ് സം റിലീഫ്. So that is contact pesticides. You are applying on the area where we have some inconvenience. And the third one is systemic insecticides. This can be compared to an injection. ഒരു ഇഞ്ചക്ഷനുമായിട്ട് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് താരതമ്യം ചെയ്യാം. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇഞ്ചക്ഷൻ എടുക്കുകയാണെന്ന് നിങ്ങളുടെ വെയിനിലേക്ക് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആർട്ടറിയിലേക്ക് ഈ ഡ്രഗ് ഇഞ്ചക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നു, ആൻഡ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് സിസ്റ്റമിക്കലി ട്രാൻസ്ലോക്കേറ്റഡ് നമ്മുടെ വാസ്കുലർ സിസ്റ്റത്തേക്കൂടെ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് നമ്മുടെ ബോഡിയിലേക്ക് അപ്ലൈ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. നമ്മുടെ കയ്യിൽ ഇവിടെ ആകാം, ആമിലാവാം, പക്ഷെ ഈ അപ്ലൈ ചെയ്ത പെസ്റ്റിസൈഡ് ബോഡി മുഴുവൻ സ്പ്രെഡ് ചെയ്യും, ആൻഡ് ദ ഡിസീസ് ഗെറ്റ്സ് ക്യൂർഡ്. സോ ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് സിസ്റ്റമിക് പെസ്റ്റിസൈഡ്. The last one is inhalation poisons. നമ്മള് ഈ ചില ആൾക്കാർ കണ്ടിട്ടില്ലേ, ഈ ശ്വാസം മുട്ടുള്ള ആൾക്കാരൊക്കെ എന്താണ് ഒരു ഇൻഹേലർ വെച്ച് വലിക്കുന്ന കണ്ടിട്ടില്ലേ? കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാവുമല്ലോ. ഈ സിനിമയിലൊക്കെ വില്ലന്മാര് ചെയ്യുന്ന ചില പരിപാടികളാണ് ഈ ഇൻഹേലർ വെച്ച് ചെയ്യുന്ന, അത് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾ ആവി പിടിക്കുന്നത്. So all these are inhalation, respiratory poisons. So ഞാനത് പോയിസൺ ആണെന്നല്ല പറഞ്ഞത്, പക്ഷെ അതുപോലെയാണ് ഇതും ആക്ട് ചെയ്യുക. If the insect respires these chemicals, gets through this tracheal system or the respiratory system, the insect will get killed. Now we will see one by one. Stomach poisons. The insecticide is applied to the plant and it is ingested. Ingested means taken in through food by the pest and kills the insect. നമ്മളൊരു ചെടിയിൽ പെസ്റ്റിസൈഡ് സ്പ്രേ ചെയ്യുന്നു, ആ സ്പ്രേ ചെയ്ത ഇല ഒരു പുഴു ഒന്ന് കടിക്കുന്നു, തിന്നുന്നു, അപ്പൊ ആ ഇലയുടെ കൂടെ അതിന്റെ കൂടെ കീടനാശിനികളുടെയും വയറ്റിലേക്ക് എത്തുന്നു. That will kill the insect. So the insect is applied to the plant. So once the leaf is or the plant part is consumed by the pest, the pest insecticide gains an entry into the insect body and the insect gets killed. And when we discuss about systemic poisons, what will happen is that if we spray the insect or pesticide on the leaf, or we apply a granular pesticide in the soil, the pesticide will be absorbed by the root system and it is translocated to the all parts of the plant. So if an insect feeds from this plant part, the poison will get gain entry into the body and it will get killed. So here one particular thing is that we have, do you remember what are the different kinds of mouthparts in insects? Anyone? What are the different kinds of mouthparts in insects? No. Labrum, labium, hypopharynx, different. Okay, that is because what are the modifications of mouthparts? I should have asked like that. Sorry. Modifications of mouthparts. Mandibulate, sucking. Yes, good, good. So sucking kind of insects. So mainly these systemic insecticides are meant for managing sucking pests. So what will happen is that siphoning is just good. So what will happen is that once you spray a pesticide into the plant, either on the leaves or you apply on the root system, the insecticide will be translocated to the entire plant system through their vascular bundles, through their xylem and phloem. And just like a mosquito sucking blood from our blood vessel, these sucking pests, it can be a whitefly, it can be an aphid, these sucking pests suck the plant sap from the vascular bundles, that is the xylem or phloem of the plant. So what is happening? The xylem or phloem, the plant sap which is translocated through the xylem or phloem, is contaminated with the pesticide. And once the insect sucks sap from the contaminated vascular bundles of the sprayed pesticide, the insecticide will gain entry into the digestive system of the sucking pest. ഞാനിപ്പോ അത് എങ്ങനെയാണെന്ന് പറയാം. ഇപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾ ഒരു പെസ്റ്റിസൈഡ്, സിസ്റ്റമിക് പെസ്റ്റിസൈഡ് ചെടിയുടെ മുകളിൽ സ്പ്രേ ചെയ്തു, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മണ്ണിൽ ഇട്ടു കൊടുത്തു. വേരിന്ന് വലിച്ചെടുക്കും, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇലയെന്ന് ഈ ഇൻസെക്ടിസൈഡ് വലിച്ചെടുക്കും. അതാണ് നമ്മൾ സിസ്റ്റമിക് പെസ്റ്റിസൈഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. വലിച്ചെടുക്കുക എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ വലിച്ചെടുത്ത് അതിനെ ട്രാൻസ്ലോക്കേറ്റ് ചെയ്യണം ചെടിയുടെ എല്ലാ ഭാഗത്തും. ചെടിയുടെ എല്ലാ ഭാഗത്തേക്കും ട്രാൻസ്ലോക്കേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ട്രാൻസ്ലോക്കേഷൻ സിസ്റ്റം ഏതാണ് ചെടിയിൽ? വാസ്കുലർ ബണ്ടിൽ, സൈലോ ഫ്ലോയോ. ഈ സക്കിംഗ് പെസ്റ്റുകളെല്ലാം പ്ലാന്റ് സാപ്പ് ആണ് സക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഈ പ്ലാന്റ് സാപ്പ് സക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന എവിടെ നിന്നാണ്? ഡയറക്ട്ലി ഫ്രം ഫ്രം സൈലം ഓർ ഫ്രം phloem. Certain groups of insects feed from xylem, certain group of insects feed from xylem, feed from phloem, some from xylem. അപ്പൊ ഇവിടെ നിന്ന് സക്ക് ചെയ്യും. അപ്പൊ എന്താണ് ഈ സൈലത്തേക്കിടെ ഫ്ലോയത്തേക്കിടെ അപ്പൊ പോകുന്നത് എന്താ? അതില് മിക്സ് ആയിട്ടുണ്ട് നമ്മളുടെ പെസ്റ്റിസൈഡ്. So if the insect sucks sap from this plant sap which is flowing through this sprayed crop, the sap is contaminated with the pesticide and the pesticide will gain entry into the insect body. So that is how a systemic insecticide enter into the body. So one thing you can infer from this is that the systemic pesticides are all stomach poisons. Systemic pesticide എന്ന് നമ്മൾ പറയുന്നു ചെടി അബ്സോർബ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് കൊണ്ടാണ് അതിന് സിസ്റ്റമിക് പെസ്റ്റിസൈഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. But how it gains entry into the body? Through the mouth only, through the sucking process, and it gains access into the stomach. And one critical parameter with respect to a stomach poison is that whatever be the pesticide which is sprayed on the plant part, it should be palatable to the insect. നല്ല കയ്പുള്ള നിങ്ങൾക്ക് തന്നെ ഓർമ്മയുണ്ടാവും, ഈ കൊച്ചു കുട്ടികളൊക്കെ ആയിരിക്കുമ്പോ കുട്ടികളെ മരുന്ന് കഴിപ്പിക്കാൻ ഭയങ്കര പ്രയാസമാണ്, പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് കയ്പുള്ള മരുന്നാണ് എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ. So that you can relate here also. If it is that's why most of the pediatric drugs, especially syrups and all, are flavored. Mostly it is strawberry flavored, mint flavored, or some other flavor, so that the drug is made palatable to the kid. In the same manner, the stomach poisons which are applied onto the plant should be palatable to the insect. ഭയങ്കര കയ്പുള്ള ഒരു മരുന്നാണ് നിങ്ങൾ ഇലയുടെ മുകളിൽ സ്പ്രേ ചെയ്യുന്നത് എങ്കിൽ ആദ്യത്തെ ഒരു ചെറിയ കടി കടിക്കുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ പുഴുവിന് കയ്പ് കിട്ടും, പിന്നെ ആ പുഴു ഫീഡ് ചെയ്യില്ല. ഫീഡ് ചെയ്തില്ലെങ്കിലോ ഒരു പ്രയോജനവും കിട്ടില്ല. Hope you understand what is a stomach poison. Yes or no? Yes. So I have given two examples, that is quinalphos and chlorpyrifos. We will discuss this quinalphos and chlorpyrifos. Just remember quinalphos and chlorpyrifos. We will discuss what is quinalphos and chlorpyrifos later when we discuss their group. Then coming to contact poisons, this is pretty easy. We spray pesticide onto a crop. So if say you have a crop of cowpea in your home, you see an insect pest, say an aphid, you spray it on the crop, on the cowpea plant. So what will happen is that once you spray the pesticide on the crop, the pesticide droplets can fall on the body of the insect. ഇല്ലേ, നമ്മൾ തളിച്ചു കൊടുക്കുമ്പോ ആ ഇലയുടെ മുകളിലിരിക്കുന്ന പ്രാണിയുടെ മുകളിൽ ഈ കീടനാശിനി വീഴാം. And once it falls on the body of the insect get absorbed through the cuticle of the insecticide will get absorbed through the cuticle of the insect. So these are called contact poison. Stomach poison വായു കൂടെ ആണെങ്കിൽ contact poisons is through cuticle, തൊലി കൂടെ. So that is one way. That means once you spray the pesticide may fall over the pest present on the crop. But take a case of a fly, house fly. നിങ്ങൾ വീട്ടിൽ ഒരു ഈച്ചനെ കൊല്ലാൻ വേണ്ടി നിങ്ങളൊരു സ്പ്രേയറുമായിട്ട് വരുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും നിങ്ങളെ കാണുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും ഈച്ച പറന്നു പോയിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. So you have trying to spray a contact pesticide. You have procured a contact pesticide and trying to spray it over the fly. But once the fly sees you, it flies away and you are unable to spray it on the fly itself. But what can we do is spray it on the surface where the flies are frequenting. ഇപ്പൊ നമ്മളുടെ ചില ഭാഗത്ത് തറയിലോ ഭിത്തിയിലോ ഒക്കെ ഈച്ച സ്ഥിരമായിട്ട് വരുന്ന ഭാഗത്ത് നിങ്ങൾ സ്പ്രേ ചെയ്യാൻ തുടങ്ങുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് ഈച്ച പറന്നു പോയിട്ടുണ്ടാവും, അതിന് നോക്കണ്ട. Just spray it on the surface where the insects are frequenting. നിങ്ങൾ അവിടെ നിന്ന് പോവുക. നിങ്ങൾ പോയി കഴിയുമ്പോൾ immediately insect will return on to the earlier part, to their resting area. പക്ഷെ അവിടെ നിങ്ങൾ പെസ്റ്റിസൈഡ് സ്പ്രേ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. And the insect body or the insect cuticle will come into contact with the sprayed pesticide. And the insect will get absorbed through the sutures, base of setae, trachea, etc. Sutures, I think sutures, sulcus, etc. If you remember, that means imaginations of the cuticle. Setae, these are small hairs present on the cuticle. So, contact pesticides, it falls over the insect body or insect move over or crawls over the treated surface, and whichever way the insect will come into contact with the pesticide and the pesticide is absorbed through the cuticle, that is the wax monolayer of cuticle, and it is absorbed through sutures, setae, tracheae, or insect. Again, the examples are Cuneiform and Chlorpyrifos. This is the basic drawback of this kind of classification based on the route of entry. Yes, I have given the same example for contact poison as well as stomach poison because Cuneiform and Chlorpyrifos has both the properties. It is palatable, it is consumed through the food, and it can act on this and gain entry through the stomach, or it can gain entry through the cuticle. So it is both stomach as well as contact. So this classification, it's not that good. So it's an old classification, but still it has some validity. We have to understand what is the stomach poison and a contact poison. Can you understand what is stomach and contact? Okay. Then comes inhalation poisons. Inhalation poisons, as I told you, these are poisons which gains entry into the insect body through the tracheal system. മൂക്കിക്കട കയറുന്നു, നമ്മുടെ ശരീരത്തിൽ മൂക്കിക്കട കയറുന്നു എന്ന് പറയുന്ന പോലെയാണ്. This insecticide gains entry into the insect body through the tracheal system. Trachea ഒക്കെ എന്താണെന്ന് നിങ്ങൾ ഓർക്കുന്നുണ്ടാവും എന്ന് വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നു. So this is an pesticide will be in the gaseous form and it will gain entry through the tracheal system. So it can be through stomach, it can be through cuticle, it can be through the respiratory system or the tracheal system. So those poisons which gain entry through the tracheal system is called as inhalation poisons or fumigants. One typical example is aluminum phosphate, another one is methyl bromide. Aluminum phosphate and methyl bromide. But here, as I told you, in the case of Cuneiform and Chlorpyrifos, we have an overlapping. Cuneiform and Chlorpyrifos are both contact as well as stomach poison, but we have a pesticide called as dichlorose. This is banned from this month onwards in our country. It is having both contact activity, stomach activity, as well as fumigant activity. So this is the problem with the classification of insecticide based on mode of entry into the insect body. And then systemic poisons that we have discussed. Pesticide applied into the plant surface, it is absorbed into the plant system, and this pesticide is translocated into the entire plant through the vascular bundles that we have discussed. Imidacloprid, thiamethoxam, dimethoate, all are examples of systemic poisons. So the first classification is classification based on route of entry. So it can be through contact poison, stomach poison, respiratory or inhalation poison. Okay. 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 And the last is systemic poisons. Those poisons which are translocated through the absorbed into the plant and translocated through the vascular bundles. So the first classification is based on the mode of entry, and the second classification is based on the general mode of action, how it more acts on the insect. It can be physical poison, it can be protoplasmic poison, it can be respiratory poison, it can be nerve poison, it can be muscular poison. So here the pesticides are classified on general mode of action into physical, protoplasmic, respiratory, muscular, and nerve poison. We will see how this classification is done. I will ask one question. If you see a mosquito breeding in a standing water near your home, നിങ്ങളുടെ വീടിന്റെ അടുത്ത് ചെറിയൊരു പാത്രത്തിലോ മറ്റോ മൊസ്കിറ്റോയുടെ ബ്രീഡിംഗ് സൈറ്റ് നിങ്ങൾ കാണുകയാണ്, you are seeing wrigglers of mosquitoes in a standing water, what you will do? ഒന്നും ചെയ്യില്ല. വെള്ളം ഒഴുക്കി കളയുമെന്ന് പറയരുത്, കമിഴ്ത്തി കളയും അവൾ. അതെ, അത് തന്നെ കൃത്യം വന്നു. അത് പറയുന്നു. അതല്ലാതെ വേറെ എന്തെങ്കിലും അത് ചെയ്യാൻ തെറ്റല്ല കേട്ടോ. അതല്ലാതെ ഒരു ഓപ്ഷൻ, കെറോസിൻ ഓയിൽ. യെസ്, കെറോസിൻ, മണ്ണെണ്ണ ഒഴിച്ചു കൊടുക്കുക, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കരിയോയിലോ അങ്ങനെ എന്തെങ്കിലും. ഹൗ ഡസ് ദിസ് ആക്ട്? മണ്ണെണ്ണ വെള്ളത്തിന്റെ മുകളിൽ ഇറ്റിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താണ് കൊതുകിന്റെ പുഴുവിന്? വാട്ട് ഡസ് ഇറ്റ് occurs for the regulars of mosquitoes? ബ്രീത്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല. യെസ്, ഇറ്റ് പ്രിവെന്റ്സ് ദി gaseous exchange, reduce the oxygen supply. Yes, good. So this is called a physical poison. So these are physical poisons. It exerts a physical effect on the target pest because it prevents the gaseous exchange. So we have heavy oils, that is such as the oils which are നമ്മൾ ഇതിനൊക്കെ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന യൂസ്ഡ് ഓയിൽസ് ഫ്രം വെഹിക്കിൾസ്, കരിയോയിൽ എന്ന് നമ്മൾ പറയുന്ന ടാർ ഓയിൽസ് എക്സെട്ര കോസ് ഇൻസെക്ട്സ് ടു ഡൈ ഓഫ് asphyxiation because it prevents the gaseous exchange. Another thing is inert dust that cause abrasions on the cuticle and absorb moisture from the body. Yesterday we discussed about the use of wood ash for the management of insects. നമ്മൾ ചാരം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വെണ്ണീർ ഇൻസെക്ട് പെസ്റ്റിനെ മാനേജ് ചെയ്യാൻ പണ്ട് കാലത്ത് ഉപയോഗിച്ചിരുന്ന ഒരു കഥയൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞു. എബി സർഫസ് ടെൻഷൻ അല്ല, okay. So how this ash act on insect is, this ash is having extremely fine particles, and these fine particles can cause abrasions on the cuticle. നിങ്ങൾ സൈക്കിൾ ചെയ്യുന്നോ സ്കൂട്ടർ ചെയ്യുന്നോ വീണു, വലിയ വീഴ്ചയൊന്നും അല്ല, ചെറുതായിട്ട് ബൈക്ക് വിട്, സൈക്കിൾ, you are trying to learn cycling and you fell down from cycle. It was not a heavy fall but a small fall. So what will happen, there will be small scratches on the skin, ചെറുതായിട്ട് മുറിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടാവും റോഡിൽ, പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് ടാറിട്ട റോഡിലൊക്കെ ആണെങ്കിൽ, and there will be slight bleeding from the injury. Just like that, these fine particles in this dust of wood ash can cause abrasions, small abrasions on the insect cuticle. But what happens is that these fine particles, while it causes abrasions on the cuticle, it damages the wax layer of insect cuticle. Remember the function of wax layer of insect cuticle. What is the function of wax layer of insect cuticle? Anyone? Prevents desiccation. Yes. So once the wax layer is damaged, the insect loses all its moisture from the body and the insect will die of desiccation. Another thing is that these inert dust such as wood ash is extremely hygroscopic. That means they will absorb moisture from the insect body. So these wood ash and all these things, inert dust, are physical poisons because it exerts a physical effect on the insect. I think it is clear to you. Examples are oils, inert dust which cause abrasions on the insect body or absorb moisture from the insect because it is hygroscopic. And once there is small injury or abrasions on the cuticle, it affects the wax layer and there will be loss of moisture from the insect body. So these are physical poisons, exert some physical effect on the insect. Next comes, it is protoplasmic poisons, because these protoplasmic poisons are chemicals which are responsible for the precipitation of proteins. It destroys protoplasm of the midgut epithelium. So typically these heavy metals, mercury, copper, fluorides, etc., if it is gaining entry into the insect body, it will lead to precipitation of proteins in the protoplasm. So these are called as protoplasmic poison. So it exerts effect on the midgut epithelium. It causes the precipitation of proteins in the protoplasm of midgut epithelium. So that is protoplasmic poisons. Nowadays, this kind of chemicals are not that used. So we, based on the general mode of action, it can be physical poison, it can be protoplasmic poison. Then we have respiratory poisons. Respiratory poisons means, don't confuse this with this fumigants or inhalation poisons. Respiratory poisons are those pesticides which act on the cellular respiration. നിങ്ങൾ ബയോകെമിസ്ട്രി പഠിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. Tricarboxylic acid cycle, Krebs cycles, electron transport chain, etc. Cellular respiration. ഇല്ലേ പഠിച്ചിട്ടില്ലേ? ATP synthesis pathway, electron transport chain, etc. Yes, cytochrome P450, etc. So these poisons act on this cellular respiration, the ATP synthesis pathway. So these are respiratory poisons. Don't confuse it with inhalation poisons and respiratory poisons. Based on route of entry, it gains entry through the trachea. That's fine. But there are certain poisons which act on the cellular respiration. That means ATP synthesis, electron transport chain, etc. So these are respiratory poisons. Example is aluminum phosphate. Aluminum phosphate is both a fumigant and act on the respiratory system, where we have certain contact pesticides. Based on the route of entry, phenacaclin is a chemical which is a contact poison, but it acts on the respiratory pathway. And coming to nerve poison, this is the largest group of pesticides based on the general mode of action. Most of the pesticides are nerve poison, acts on the nervous system, affects the transmission of nervous impulses. Organophosphates, carbamates, synthetic pyrethroids, so many insecticides, they act on nervous system and affects the transmission of nerve impulses. Then there are certain insecticides which are acting on muscular system. Examples, Rhynia. Rhynia is a plant-derived pesticide. Then we have diamides. Diamides is a organic synthetic pesticide. So, are you clear with respect to the classification of pesticide based on general mode of action? It can be physical poison. You can remember the mosquito thing. You get protoplasmic poison, where are inorganics which cause precipitation of protoplasm. We have muscular poisons which act on muscles. We have nerve poisons which act on nervous system and affect transmission of impulses. And we have respiratory poison which affect the cellular respiration. Clear? Yes. Coming to the next one, that is based on the chemical nature. This is extremely simple. Based on chemical nature, we classify it into inorganic and organic. Just like in your +1, +2, you have inorganic chemistry and organic chemistry. I think you are familiar with the terms inorganic and organic. So we have inorganic compounds used as pesticides and organic compounds used as pesticides. And among the inorganic compounds, we have heavy metals such as arsenicals, fluorides, then sulfur, one of the earliest used pesticide by the humankind. Then lime sulfur, barium carbonate, zinc phosphate, all are inorganic compounds which are used as pesticides. But among this, only very few are still used. Sulfur, sulfur is still used. Zinc phosphate is used mainly as a rat poison. നിങ്ങൾ എലിവിഷമായിട്ട് ഒരു കറുത്ത പൊടി കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ? കപ്പയിലും പഴത്തിലും ഒക്കെ. ഇപ്പൊ അതല്ല, ഒരു കേക്ക് പോലെയുള്ള സംഭവമാണ് ഇപ്പൊ വീടുകളിൽ കോമൺ ആയിട്ട് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. പക്ഷെ പണ്ട് കാലത്ത് യൂസ് ചെയ്തിരുന്നു, ഇപ്പോഴും ഉണ്ട് അത്, ഇഷ്ടംപോലെ പല സ്ഥലത്ത് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. കറുത്ത പൊടിയായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സാധനം എലിവിഷമായിട്ട് യൂസ് ചെയ്യും. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് നത്തിങ് ബട്ട് സിങ്ക് ഫോസ്ഫേറ്റ്. ഇല്ല, ഓക്കെ, നിങ്ങൾ പ്രാക്ടിക്കലിന് വരുമ്പോ കാണിച്ചു തരാം കേട്ടോ. Okay, so these are inorganic compounds. And organic compounds, it is classified into two, natural and synthetic. Organic compounds can be derived from the nature or it can be synthesized. Natural compounds includes hydrocarbon oils or petroleum oils. We have discussed about the petroleum oils in the yesterday's class, paraffinic oil, mineral oil, etc. that we have discussed, that is extracted from crude oil. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് അതിനെ നാച്ചുറൽ ആയിട്ട് കണക്കാക്കുന്നത്. Then we have a pesticide derived from an animal. That animal is not terrestrial, it is a marine organism. We will discuss about it later. So we have pesticides. An example is myristoxin, which is obtained from animals. And the third, we have plant derived natural organic compounds. Nicotine, that is from tobacco. Pyrethrin, yesterday we discussed from chrysanthemum. Then volatile oils. നിങ്ങൾ ഈ ഹോട്ടലിലൊക്കെ മേശ തുടയ്ക്കാൻ, ഇപ്പൊ ഹോട്ടലിൽ പോയിട്ട് നിങ്ങൾ പോയിട്ട് കുറെ കാലമായിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. ഹോട്ടലിലൊക്കെ മേശ തുടയ്ക്കുമ്പോ അവര് പുൽത്തൈലം ഇട്ട വെള്ളം കൊണ്ട് തുടയ്ക്കുന്ന കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ? ലെമൺ ഗ്രാസ് ഓയിൽ നിങ്ങളുടെ ഉണ്ട്. സോ ദീസ് ആർ എസെൻഷ്യൽ ഓയിൽസ്. ആ സ്മെല്ല് ഇപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾ വീട്ടിലെ തറ തുടയ്ക്കുമ്പോഴൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ ഈച്ചയുടെ ശല്യം ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ചെയ്യും. സോ ദീസ് ആർ എസെൻഷ്യൽ ഓയിൽസ്. Essential oils or volatile oils which are having insecticidal property. These are derived from plants. ഇഞ്ചിപ്പുല്ല്, നിങ്ങൾ ലെമൺ ഗ്രാസ്, അതിനെ കുറിച്ചൊക്കെ നിങ്ങൾ പഠിക്കാം, ക്രോപ്പിനെ കുറിച്ച്. So we have natural organic compounds which can be hydrocarbon oils such as petroleum oils. Natural compounds can be derived from animals or from plants. Animals, we have only one example. So remember this myristoxin, because this is usually asked as a one-word question. Animal origin pesticide, because this is the only animal origin pesticide, myristoxin. We will again come across this later. And the plant origin, I forgot to include neem. Neem is one of the best example you can add. Then we have synthetic organic compounds, all this organochloride, DDT, BHC, organophosphates, carbamates, synthetic pyrethroids, all those chemicals includes synthetic organic compounds. It is synthesized by a chemical process. So based on the chemical nature, we classify it into inorganic as well as organic. Inorganic means it is inorganic substance, and organic, which is classified into natural and synthetic. So we have seen three kinds of classification based on route of entry, based on general mode of action, and chemical structure. And the last classification is Iraq mode of action classification. I will just introduce Iraq mode of action classification, and I will continue in the next class. Actually, this Iraq Insecticide Resistance Action Committee, it's not a government body. It is formed in 1984, and this organization, this committee is formed by the pesticide companies, not by a government body. This Insecticide Resistance Action Committee is formed by pesticide companies. So the major motto or objective for this committee is to prevent or delay the development of resistance in insect pests. Insect resistance to insecticides is a major threat. What happens is that I told you in yesterday's class, once humans discovered DDT, they thought that DDT will save humans from all the insect menace. But what happened is that repeated use of DDT led to development of resistance in insect. That means insects has the ability to develop resistance to insecticides. നിങ്ങൾ സ്ഥിരമായിട്ട് ഒരേ കെമിക്കൽ, ഒരേ പെസ്റ്റിസൈഡ് ഇൻസെക്ടിനെതിരെ ഉപയോഗിക്കുക, ആ മോസ്കിറ്റോ ഇത് പ്രാണി ചാകാതെയാണ്. ഇന്നലെ 2-3 പേര് ഇത് പറഞ്ഞിരുന്നു, മറ്റേ കൊതുകിനെതിരെ ഗുഡ് നൈറ്റോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മാക്സോയോ ഓൾ ഔട്ടോ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നു എന്ന് പറയുന്നു. Whether this mosquito repellents are effective now compared to say 5 or 6 years back, ഒരു 5-6 കൊല്ലം മുമ്പ് റിപ്പല്ലൻസ് ഒക്കെ വന്ന കാലത്ത് ഇപ്പോഴും തമ്മിലൊന്ന് കമ്പയർ ചെയ്ത് നോക്കും. Whether these mosquito repellents are able to control mosquitoes? No. What happened? Repeated use of these mosquito repellents led to development of resistance in mosquitoes. ഞാൻ ഇപ്പോഴും ഓർക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, ഈ മൊസ്കിറ്റോ റിപ്പല്ലൻസ് ഒക്കെ വന്ന കാലത്ത് ഞാനൊക്കെ ഒരു പ്രീ ഡിഗ്രി സമയത്താണ്. പ്രീ ഡിഗ്രി സമയത്തൊക്കെ മാറ്റ് ആണ് തന്നിരുന്നത്. ഇപ്പോഴും ഉണ്ട് ആ മാറ്റ്. ഈ മാറ്റ് ഒക്കെ കത്തിച്ചു വെച്ച് നമ്മൾ പഠിക്കാനിരിക്കുമ്പോ എങ്ങനെയാണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ, ആ സമയത്ത് ആമത്തിരി ഉണ്ട് കത്തിച്ചു വെച്ച് നമ്മൾ ഇരിക്കുമ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ പഠിക്കാനിരിക്കുന്ന പുസ്തകത്തിന്റെ മുകളിലേക്ക് ഇങ്ങനെ കൊതുക് മയങ്ങി വീഴുന്നത് നമുക്ക് കാണായിരുന്നു. But now you can see mosquitoes flying over this mosquitoes repellent. നിങ്ങളൊരു mosquito repellent മെഷീൻ നിങ്ങൾ പ്ലഗിൽ കുത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അതിന്റെ മുകളിൽ കൂടെ കൊതുക് വേണമെങ്കിൽ പറന്നു കിടക്കും. That's because mosquitoes has developed resistance against this insecticide, and these insecticides are not effective. So ഈ ഇൻസെക്ടിസൈഡ് ഇങ്ങനെ എഫക്റ്റീവ് അല്ലാതെ ആവുന്നത്, the loss of efficacy of insecticides because of the development of insecticide resistance is a great threat to pesticide companies, because they invest a huge amount to develop a pesticide, and if the pest develop resistance against that pesticide quickly, then it's no use to the company. So the companies, what they do is that they try to prevent or delay the development. Preventing resistance is pretty difficult because insect has the inherent ability to develop resistance to any pesticide, and their main intention is to delay the development of resistance so that the pesticide molecule remain effective for a longer period. So what they did was, they classified the insecticides based on mode of action. So you may doubt that earlier it is again there was a classification based on mode of action. That classification was on general mode of action. I told it is a nerve poison, muscular poison, etc. But here they give the specific mode of action where the insecticide specifically act on insect. And in their classification, they have given subgroups based on the chemical structure of the molecule. So they have, I will show you how that classification. And here what it will do is, if you are classifying it based on mode of action, if you are using pesticides with two different mode of action, the chances of development of resistance is low. We will discuss it later. That means, say if one insecticide is acting on a particular part of nervous system, say A, and another insecticide is acting on another part of nervous system B, what we can do is give a spray of A today, then after 2 weeks don't repeat the pesticide which act on A, use the pesticide which act on B, so we can delay the development of resistance instead of repeatedly using the pesticide which is acting on A alone. So that is the strategy. And they have a color code also. They give a background color based on the major site of action. That means we can say it as a general mode of action. If the background is blue in color, it acts on the nervous system or muscular system. If the background is green in color, it acts as a growth regulator, acts on insect hormones such as ecdysone, juvenile hormone, etc. Or if it is background is brown in color, it acts on the respiration, especially the cellular respiration. If it is orange in color, it acts on the midgut. If it is gray in color, it is having unknown mode of action. So the colors on the table indicate the site of action. So blue means act on nerve or muscle. Green, it is a growth regulator. Brown, it acts on respiration, mainly cellular respiration. Orange, it acts on midgut. And gray, we have certain pesticides where the mode of action is still not known clearly to the scientists. So that is how the mode of action. And they regularly, the Insecticide Resistance Action Committee, they have a very good website. If someone types Insecticide Resistance Action Committee in Google, you go into the Iraq website. And Iraq website, they regularly update the mode of action classification. So I will show you how this classification looks like. See, don't try to study this classification. This classification കാണാതെ പഠിക്കാനുള്ളതല്ല. This is just for your information. You just have to give a brief of, if you are asked about classification, you just give a classification, Iraq classification, you just give the information given in this slide. And if you possible, one example how it is classified. No need to mark up this table. See, I will how this is the table I've taken from Iraq mode of action classification. See the background color, it is blue. I will give another one. Yes. See, here the background is blue. That means that it is acting either on nerve or muscle. Here the background is green. That means it is acting on insect growth or growth regulator. Here we have a orange color, or this indicates it acts on midcut. And here we have a brown background. That means it acts on the cellular respiration. And if you see it, we have three columns. In the first column, it gives the site of action. Where does the insecticide act? What is the specific site of action of this pesticide? And the second column, it is based on the chemical classification. This one, carbamate, organophosphate, and the third one is the pesticide. So the first column is the site of particular site of action. Second column is the chemical classification, and the third is the examples. We will continue it tomorrow. Any doubts? ഞാൻ നിങ്ങളുടെ സീനിയേഴ്സിനോട് ഇപ്പൊ അവര് പ്രാക്ടിക്കലിന് വന്നപ്പോ ഒരു ചോദ്യം ചോദിച്ചു. What do you prefer, offline class or online class? So all the students told offline, and I know the difficulty of offline online session like this, but try to cope up with this. Yesterday's class I have uploaded in the Moodle. If you have time, go through it. You will get more and more understanding. Just listen to it. If you have any doubt, don't hesitate to ask. എനിക്കതേ പറയാൻ പറ്റൂ നിങ്ങളോട്. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു സംശയം ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അത് ചോദിക്കാൻ മടിക്കരുത്. That's the only way you can learn. അത് പൊട്ടത്തരമായിക്കോട്ടെ, അതിനൊരു പ്രശ്നവുമില്ല. പൊട്ടത്തരം ഒരിക്കലും പൊട്ടത്തരം ആവുകയില്ല ചോദിക്കുന്ന ചോദ്യം. അതിന് അതിൻ്റെതായ റെലവൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. Okay. Anything? If there is nothing left, we will stop.